I, 32F, think I need to break up with my fiancé, 35M, after he embarrassed me in public over a sandwich. To start, there are a lot of layers to this situation, which makes me feel like this might be the end. My partner and I have been together for over 9 years, and honestly, the first 4 to 5 years were awesome. I had never felt this way about anyone in my life, but things started going south after that. I began to realize that he always had an excuse for not helping me cook or clean the house, no matter how much I begged and pleaded for help. He started making me feel like visiting my family was an inconvenience for him. He would make snide remarks the whole time and ruin the entire trip, making me cry. It might sound dumb, but I've even started having panic attacks because of how bad he makes the holidays. He doesn't attempt to communicate in a healthy way, and it honestly feels like he waits until the very last moment to apologize, if he does at all. I've been at the last straw point for a few years now, but I always end up forgiving him because, well, I love him. It's kind of like that saying, when it's great, it's really great, but when it's bad, it's really bad. Now, let me move on to what happened a few days ago when he lost his temper in public over a sandwich. We had the same day off, so we decided to run some errands and then go to a sandwich shop for lunch. The first half of the day went great, until it was time for lunch. We walked into the sandwich shop, and because it was noon, the place was packed. There was only one employee working, so we had to wait in line for about 20 minutes. Yes, it was frustrating to wait that long, but I tried to stay positive because I know he gets irritated easily. We overheard the employee tell the customers ahead of us that some ingredients were either out of stock or had gone bad, likely due to a recent hurricane that had caused some power outages in the area. For context, I had an ex who worked at the sandwich chain, and he introduced me to a particular sandwich that I've been ordering since I was about 18 or 19. I introduced it to my current fiancé, and we've both been ordering the same thing whenever we go there. So finally, it's our turn to order. We get everything started: bread, meat, cheese, and the sandwich goes in the toaster. When it comes out, I ask for lots of spinach, but the employee tells me the spinach has gone bad. Bummer, but no big deal, right?
Wrong.
My fiancé, standing next to me, yells, "Are you fucking serious? Dude, fuck this shit. She did this shit on purpose. We're fucking leaving. Come on." He storms out, leaving me standing there while everyone else in the shop is either staring at me or visibly uncomfortable. Just imagine how you feel when you see a Karen in the wild, but it was my partner. As a side note, I have extreme social anxiety, and my fiancé is fully aware of this. So there I am, standing there, trying to explain to the employee that my fiancé is upset and that we might just leave. The employee responds, "If you leave, I'm calling the cops." My anxiety skyrockets. The cops? Then I check my phone and see a text from my fiancé saying, "Get the food and we're done." So now I'm facing the possibility of cops showing up, and I'm being broken up with via text. I text him back, telling him that he left me in a bad situation and reminding him how bad my anxiety is. Then the employee says, "I can't believe you came in here knowing we're low on ingredients and wasted what little we had." And honestly, she's right. I was just going to ask for lettuce instead of spinach, but now I'm standing there, getting blamed for something that wasn't my fault. I get another text from my fiancé. "Fuck it. Find someone else to come get you." Great. Now I'm stranded. I finish building the sandwiches, pay for them, and try to hide behind the bag of food, hoping my fiancé is still outside. Thankfully, he is, but unfortunately, he spends the entire 15-minute ride home screaming at me. He blamed me, told me I wasn't a team player, and said that I chose my side.
I was bawling the whole time.
I haven't spoken to him in 3 days. He sent me a text apologizing, but I feel completely fed up. To make matters worse, I have a family event tomorrow, but I guess I can't go because he has the only vehicle, meaning I'll have to disappoint my family once again. I'm stressed out, and I don't know what to do anymore. If you've made it to the end of this, thank you for letting me vent. If you have any advice, I would love to hear it. Story 2. I, 28F, found out my boyfriend, 30M, of 5 years, has a second apartment, and I don't know what to do. Let me start by saying that I never imagined I'd be in a situation like this. I'm a pretty laid-back person, and I always trusted my boyfriend completely, but the last few weeks have flipped my entire world upside down, and I'm struggling to make sense of it all. My boyfriend, Matt, and I have been together for over 5 years. We met through mutual friends, and from the start, everything just clicked. We moved in together after about a year of dating, and since then, we've shared everything: bills, groceries, even a Netflix account, lol. I thought we had a solid, open relationship. We've had our ups and downs like any couple, but nothing that ever felt unmanageable. Recently, though, something has felt off. It started about 2 months ago. Matt started working late more often. At first, I didn't think much of it. He's in finance, and his job can be demanding. He'd come home around 9 or 10 p.m. some nights, tired and irritable, and I didn't want to push him. I'd ask how work was, he'd give me a vague same old, and we'd move on. But what really got to me wasn't just the late nights, it was how distant he became. Matt used to be the kind of guy who'd text me funny memes throughout the day or send me a random "I miss you" text while he was at work. That all stopped. When he was home, he was glued to his phone, and when I asked about it, he'd just say it was work stuff. I felt silly being suspicious, maybe even a little paranoid, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Then came the weekend when everything unraveled. About 3 weeks ago, Matt told me he had to go out of town for a work conference. It wasn't unusual. He traveled occasionally for work, so I didn't think much of it. He kissed me goodbye on Friday morning and said he'd be back Sunday night. I had a quiet weekend planned, just hanging out with some friends and binge watching a few shows we weren't watching together. On Saturday morning, I went out for coffee with my best friend, Jess. We were chatting about life, and I mentioned that Matt was out of town. Jess gave me this weird look and said, "That's funny. I thought I saw Matt at a bar last night downtown." I froze. Jess has known Matt almost as long as I have, and there's no way she'd mistake someone else for him. But still, I figured it could have been someone who just looked like him. "Are you sure?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Jess shrugged. I mean, it was dark and I wasn't close, but yeah, I thought it was him. After that, I couldn't get it out of my head. So, I did something I'm not proud of. I called the hotel where Matt said he'd be staying. The woman at the front desk said no one by his name was checked in.
My heart sank.
But still, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the conference had switched hotels last minute. Maybe Matt didn't check in under his name because work was covering it. There had to be a logical explanation, right? By Sunday night, when Matt came home, I was on edge. He walked in like nothing was wrong, kissed me on the forehead, and dropped his bag by the door. I asked how the conference was, and he gave me a short, "Yeah, it was fine." Exhausting, though. I couldn't take it anymore. I asked him point blank, "Were you really at a conference this weekend?" He looked at me like I was crazy. Of course I was. Why would you ask that? I wanted to tell him about Jess seeing him or about the hotel call, but I didn't. I couldn't. Something in his eyes made me feel like I was overreacting, like maybe I was being the paranoid girlfriend. So, I let it drop. For the next few days, I tried to push the weirdness out of my mind, but things just kept getting weirder. Matt started leaving early in the mornings, even on weekends. He'd claim he was going to the gym or running errands, but he'd be gone for hours. And again, I started noticing how glued to his phone he was, even when we were supposed to be having us time. Then last Friday, I finally snapped. Matt had gone out again, claiming he was meeting a work friend for drinks. I decided to follow him. It was a terrible idea, and I knew it, but I was desperate to figure out what was going on. I drove to the bar he mentioned, parked a block away, and waited. About an hour later, I saw him come out, but he wasn't alone. He was with a woman. At first, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. They weren't holding hands or anything, but there was definitely something too familiar between them. I felt sick to my stomach. I started my car and followed them, staying as far back as I could. After about 20 minutes, they pulled up to an apartment building I didn't recognize. I watched as Matt and this woman walked into the building together. I sat in my car, shaking, trying to figure out what to do. Was this woman someone from work? A friend? A mistress? I couldn't breathe. After what felt like hours, I drove home, feeling completely numb. The next day, I did something even worse. I followed Matt again. This time, I followed him in the morning when he said he was going to the gym. Instead of going to the gym, he went straight back to that apartment building. He had a key. He went inside. At that point, I was done waiting for answers. I went home, packed a bag, and texted him that I was going to stay with Jess for a few days because I needed space. He didn't even ask why, just said, okay. So here I am, writing this at Jess's apartment, completely lost. I haven't confronted Matt yet. I don't even know where to start. Is he cheating? Does he have some secret life I don't know about? Is that apartment his? Who is the woman? I feel like everything I thought I knew about my relationship is crumbling, and I don't know what to do next. I love him, but I also feel so betrayed, and the thought of him lying to me for God knows how long makes me want to scream. What should I do? Should I confront him? Should I try to dig deeper? Or am I just overreacting and jumping to conclusions? I feel like I'm losing my mind. If you made it to the end, thank you for listening. Any advice or thoughts would be really appreciated because right now, I feel completely alone.